I'm here to tell you that Alabaster lives up to its hype, and I was wrong. Hi, color enthusiasts. Today we're talking about Sherwin-Williams Alabaster. My name is Michelle Marcini, and I'm the Chief Color Designer and founder of the Color Concierge, and we help our clients pick paint colors. So for many years, I really resisted this paint color because the yellow undertones I felt were kind of strong, despite all the hype. And as a cynic, I thought its popularity might be due to its value as a tool for bloggers to increase their traffic from Google. And I've had similar thoughts about Agreeable Gray, which is another popular Sherwin-Williams paint color. And although Agreeable Gray is a good paint color, its hype is overrated online. I'm here to tell you that Alabaster lives up to its hype, and I was wrong. I've been experimenting with this color for the last couple of years. I've used it on exteriors, cabinets, and most recently in a low light bedroom. And that's the bedroom I'm sitting in right now. It has north-facing light, everything to make this color go wrong, and all it does is make it look that much more beautiful. My final verdict is that it's an amazing off-white paint color, but as with all paint colors, it has to be used in specific applications and situations. So let's talk about the pros and cons of using Alabaster. Pros are that you get a nice off-white, lovely, warm paint color that's perfect for today's warmer interior color trends. It has enough pigment and warmth in it that it won't look dingy in rooms with very low light, and that's a big plus. And it's also a wonderful foundation for a whole house color palette without looking too cold. The cons is that it can skew a bit yellow in rooms that have overly warm lighting, so you really need to make sure that you test it in the room. And it can look too stark as an exterior siding color, depending on what kind of hard finishes you have and what your light looks like. It isn't the best interior trim color unless you're color drenching with Alabaster. I love the way Alabaster trim and ceilings look, or it also looks really great as an interior trim color if you're using it with much darker wall paint. Let's talk about why Alabaster is so very popular. Once I started using it more with clients and in my own home, I realized why people love this so much. It's just really, really versatile. It's a warm white and it's really muted. It's creamy without skewing too much yellow. It's still light and bright, but it has enough pigment that it's not going to look dingy in rooms with low light. And in fact, I've discovered it's one of the best white paint colors for dark rooms. The light reflectance value of Alabaster is 82, which puts it deeply into the off-white category. Most of the brightest white paint colors for Sherwin-Williams fall into the 80 to 90 range. Undertones of Alabaster are definitely yellow, and they're pretty strong, and that's what makes it look so good in a room with low light. It's a little bit grayed out, and that mutedness reminds me of White Dove. It's not quite as grayed out as White Dove, but I'd use it in similar situations. Alabaster is a warm paint color. Got to be careful when you pair it with other light warm neutrals. This room that I'm standing in has extra white as a trim and a ceiling color. Normally I wouldn't pick that combination, but extra white is a really prevalent trim and ceiling color in the United States. And for some reason, although it's so cool, Alabaster really ends up working. When you use any color, we always recommend that you sample with it. And we really like to use Samplize. They've got 2 coats of real paint from the actual manufacturer, in this case from Sherwin-Williams. They're really big samples where you can see the color better in the lighting. They deliver them overnight. The colors are super accurate. I've talked to them at length about their quality procedures and their testing procedures, and then you don't have to mess with real paint. So when should you use Sherwin-Williams Alabaster? I love the idea of using Alabaster for the walls, the trim, and the ceilings, but in different sheens. What I would do is make the trim and the doors a satin sheen, the walls a matte sheen, and then the ceilings flat sheen. You can use ceiling paint, but just tinted white. It works really well with granite countertops and other earthy finishes. So if you have a home that was painted in the Tuscan era alabaster is going to look great. Alabaster kitchen cabinets are gorgeous. It's a fantastic choice for whites because it gives you the look of a classic kitchen. It adds lots of warmth to the space. Next to earthy colors, it looks more like a white than an off-white or a cream, just because color is all about comparison. In the kitchen that we show here, the perimeter cabinets are painted with Sherwin-Williams Alabaster. The color looks so nice with the Sherwin-Williams pewter green island and useful gray walls. In most kitchens, the green foliage from the outside world would reflect onto the white cabinets, but Alabaster holds its own very, very well because it has so much pigment in it. In our client's home, Alabaster kitchen walls are paired with custom lightwood cabinets. The kitchen ceiling was also painted with Alabaster paint, and it created a really bright space that still feels so warm and so inviting. I really love the combination of Sherwin-Williams Pure White with Alabaster walls. And Pure White looks great as a cabinet color, a trim color, and a ceiling color. In my guest bathroom, which is just off the bedroom I'm standing in right now, Alabaster paint on the walls looked fantastic with a clean white counter, the hex tile mosaic floor, and the Sherwin-Williams Pure White vanity cabinets. This room has very little natural light, but Alabaster just comes through beautifully. But I love my client's Alabaster bathroom even more. This home's primary bathroom features walls that are painted Alabaster with a warm gray vanity and warm neutral tiles in the shower. I absolutely love the way all these warm hues come together. And then if you look further, the washroom is painted with Benjamin Moore natural linen. This warm paint color looks really pretty next to the Alabaster walls. Alabaster can work very, very well as a whole house color scheme, especially if your finishes are generally warm. By finishes, I mean the tile, the countertops, the backsplashes, and your overall decor. The home we're showing you here was completely renovated. I was asked to specify colors for the whole house, and when I came in, they'd already painted it Alabaster, and it was absolutely perfect. So I told them to keep Alabaster for the main common areas, and then we just added different paint colors to some of the individual bedrooms, accents, and in the office. And the home's entryway, hallways, main living rooms, they all feature Sherwin-Williams Alabaster walls. We're very careful about how we use Alabaster for exteriors. If it's in the middle of the bright sun, this color can be overly bright. And what we tell people when they're picking exterior white paint colors, the further north you go, the more forgiving the sun is, and a color like Alabaster won't look as bright. The further south you go, the brighter it is. So you've got to be really careful. We show a photo here of a home in Georgia. It's definitely in the shade, and it's just a beautiful look in the shade, but I'm not sure that I would pick Alabaster in the bright sun. But Alabaster is a really great color if you're up north in New England or in Michigan or even the Pacific Northwest, because those are areas, especially in the winter, the sun's just not quite as strong and it's often overcast. So for exteriors with Alabaster, if it's a one-story house, you can just paint the roof line. If it's a two-story house and your eaves aren't too thick, then you can paint the soffits too. But Alabaster also looks fantastic as a whole house exterior paint color. And it's classic and timeless, and to be honest, it's less expensive than adding different colors. But if you have white windows, although we usually don't like to pair them with dark trim, this is a perfect place to do it. Then the white ties in with the white of the Alabaster walls. So that's a great look too. But I don't encourage you to paint your trim black, any black, when your windows are already black. It just looks very heavy. The black colors I like to use with Alabaster, I love Black Magic. I really like Iron Ore. Sometimes I'll use Tricorn Black, although it tends to be really, really cold. Another option to Tricorn is to use this gorgeous color called Inkwell, which is a black with blue undertones. So it morphs between a black and a very dark blue. But if you're looking for the darkest of blacks, I'd opt for Black Magic versus Tricorn because it's a little warmer. Alabaster does go with gray paint colors. Pose gray, you can use it in adjoining rooms or even as an accent wall, or warm grays like Fawn Brindle. It also looks beautiful with muted warm grays. Those are really my favorites. Grays such as Skyline Steel or Agreeable Gray, Gossamer Veil. The whites that Alabaster looks the best with are either clean whites or creamy whites. And if you're using Alabaster as a trim color, only pick colors that go darker than Alabaster. If you go Alabaster with a cooler color like pure white on the walls, it ends up making the trim and the ceilings look dingy. The best white trim colors for Alabaster are White Snow or Pure White. They're gorgeous, and those are the Sherwin colors. Out of Benjamin Moore, I would consider using Chantilly Lace is gorgeous with Alabaster. Oxford White is very pretty with Alabaster. I wouldn't necessarily use White Dove or Swiss Coffee because they're too close to Alabaster and they're just not going to look right. Should you use Alabaster or Pure White? Alabaster is a great color if you want to go a little bit darker. Pure White is brighter. I think that Alabaster looks better in dark rooms, and if your house has more light, I would veer into Pure White. Alabaster and Greek Villa are also quite similar to each other. Greek Villa has higher LRV and it's just a skosh brighter than Alabaster. Alabaster and White Dove are very similar to each other. Alabaster has an LRV of 82 and White Dove is 83, 84. So it's just a little bit brighter. I wouldn't use them together, but they both do the same job. Cloud White is much brighter than Alabaster and doesn't have as much yellow in it. I would use Alabaster in a darker room, but that's one where you just have to test them both and see what you like the best. And Alabaster and Swiss Coffee are also very similar to each other, and I would consider them substitutes. But in the end, which Benjamin Moore color is the best Alabaster alternative? I'd say White Dove, and my second favorite, if you want to substitute for Alabaster, is Swiss Coffee, although I love both Swiss Coffee and White Dove. Thanks for watching our Alabaster color review. If you'd like to work with us, check out how to get a hold of us in the comments, but you can also link into thecolorconcierge.com and consider liking us and subscribing to our channel.